Okay, so we're doing another 5 a.m. bathroom chat. So I try not to wake my husband. But today we're going to talk about investing for long term growth instead of attempting to be that overnight picked the right company and made millions. So when I was younger, I knew people who invested, but they were fairly well off. I've never really worked a super high paying job unless you work a insane amount of hours. So I took the last couple of months this year and really taught myself to invest, how to read the graphs on investment platforms, learn what dividends are and all of that. And I feel pretty good for the fact that I've only really gotten like $4,000 put into my account and it's gone up about 17%. So I am going to walk you through how to learn to invest when you don't have a big income. And granted, there are ways that you can go faster and there are ways that you could really screw it up. But I'm going to talk about doing TFSA investments because I don't mess with RRSPs right now. My TFSA is my focus so I can build my monthly dividend income because I love money coming in monthly that I don't have to pay taxes on. So we're going to talk through that. But if you were like me and you didn't exactly have the privilege to learn this stuff early, let's talk about it. So honestly, your step one needs to be to learn how to read stocks. So you want to go on Google or whatever platform you would like to use, and you want to go and look at, there's like a graph in it, and then under the graph there's your numbers. So you're gonna have like your market cap, how many profits are out there, not profits, how many shares are available, dividends, percentage payouts, etc. And you want to learn how to read those. Now, to do this, I honestly Googled it. I watched YouTubes. I read a few books about it. A really good book that I believe, I hope I have the right book in my head, but it's 7 Steps to Invest Like Warren Buffett. And they actually show you a graph that I'm talking about. I call it a graph. I don't think it's actually called a graph. But whatever it is called, it's in that book. And they break down step by step which each thing in that column means. And I think that is really good because anybody can just tell you to go throw $5,000 into a stock, but if you don't know what you're getting out of it, there's no point. So learn. And honestly, like, you also want to learn your terminology as well. Like, you want to learn what a dividend is, which if you don't know what a dividend is, it is a payout for just owning stocks. My favorite stock that I'm investing in right now pays out monthly, and that is why I am focused on growing that one my fastest. I have other dividends that are quarterly, and I have, I think, 1 or 2 that are yearly. So it's kind of just like a big bonus somewhere in there. But you also want to learn about the drip system. So look up your words, watch YouTubes, read books, talk to people that you know how to invest. My stepdad is a great investor. His family are all great investors. So I sit down with them every time I get a chance and we go through portfolios together, which I think is such a fun little family bonding time because none of us really came from generational wealth. We're building our own. Now, I'm not building generational wealth. I'm building survivable wealth. Sorry. The air this morning is not enjoying my nose, or my nose is not enjoying the air, but either way. And then step 2, after you learn about your investments and all of that stuff, sorry, I need a sip. Iced coffee at 5 a.m., absolutely. This has collagen in it, and this is my favorite way to get my collagen in. Back to step 2, is you want to choose the platform that you want to learn to invest on, or who you're going to invest with. My first attempt at investing, I invested with a company called Edward Jones. And I mean, I didn't really have big bucks in there. I was putting $25 every 2 weeks in for my paycheck because I was like 18 when I had done it. I didn't know anything about investing then. I just had, my stepdad went and said, let's set it up for you. I didn't know what I was doing. And I made a really stupid decision in 2017 to pull out like 3 grand, which was all of my investments, to go on a trip to New Orleans for a pyramid scheme gig that I was with. So don't do that, first of all. If you're investing, invest for the long term. Don't invest for like a nice chunk of money for a vacation. Unless you have a way that you can do it. Okay? But alas. So that was Edward Jones. That was back in 2017, 2018 that I was investing with them. And I didn't really like that I had to pay fees for somebody else to manage it. So I learned how to do it myself. Currently, I invest through Wealthsimple, which I will put a referral link down below if you want to check it out. If you sign up and you fund your account with literally $1, you get $25 and I get $25. So it's nice for both of us, but obviously if you don't feel like checking it out or funding it, don't bother. No sweat off of anything. It's just a nice way for you guys to get a little bit of cash and for me to get a little bit of cash. But I use Wealthsimple. I do my own investing. I don't have a managed one, mainly because I didn't like that the managed, like I did have a managed one to start, and I didn't like it. I was watching them day trade all over in my account, and I didn't want day trading. I wanted long haul investments. I wasn't out here trying to become rich. I was trying to build wealth, and I think that's different. So I ended up opening up a personal managed one where I just go in and do it, and I have things set on automation. So every 2 weeks, I think it's 13 out of the 14 stocks that I invest in get $5 every 2 weeks, which sounds so minuscule, right? $5, what does that do? Well, it builds up. That's $10 a month, every month, for years, because these are the ones that I'm not truly focusing on. I'm just letting them build slowly. And then the one that I do focus on, it's automated for every week to get the $5. Plus, I have drip going. So I think right now my last dividend payout with the one that I'm focused on, I think it was $9.45. So that bought almost an entire stock on top, because the stock is, I think, 14 on average, unless it's in a high, and then it's usually like 15, 16, but that's okay. So I learned to drip. Well, I just put them all on, but I get the full kickback on all of those because I don't have somebody being paid to manage them. And I think that's awesome, because I'd rather not pay people money, especially when I'm trying to grow my money. But Wealthsimple isn't the only trading app or anything like that that you can use. There's Questrade. There's a few other ones. Those are the only two that I can think of off my top of my head, because those are the two that I know the most about. I don't really know much about the ones that pop up on the random YouTube or Facebook ads. I'm not really interested in. I don't want to have more than the one I have right now anyways. So step 2 is just to figure out where you want to invest. You can do it in RRSPs. You can do it in TFSAs. I do believe first home savings accounts, there's also like an investment option in it, but I'm not entirely sure. So don't quote me on that one, because I don't have one of those. And then for step 3, you want to decide on the stocks you want to invest in. So for me, I went with companies that were in the long haul. I mostly focused on utilities and banks, or ones that I know are going to have continuous growth. So like NVIDIA. I think NVIDIA is my one electronic one that I really focus on. Actually, I think it's the only one I have that isn't utilities or banks or just like an ETF. But I focused on ones that were continuous. They were companies I've worked with, not worked with, but I use daily. So my gas bill, my hydro bill, my banks, stuff like that is going to be long-standing. Like Coca-Cola is a great one. It's just not in my budget right now, and I don't need to add any more that I have to try and remember. So down the line, I may add more, but I focus more on value investing. So I don't look for ones that are going to be the next overnight sensation. I look for ones that are going to have steady long-term growth, that I don't need to worry about them going bankrupt every day. So like Tesla was one I did not invest in, and that was a personal choice. Like no hate to anybody who does invest in Tesla, but I've watched their stocks for a while, and no, it's very volatile. It goes up and down. It literally just depends on how everybody's feeling about Elon Musk that day, and it's not something I want to deal with. So I pick ones where there's not so many controversies, or there's ones that it benefits my community. My favorite ETF is one, like actually, it's an ETF that funds things in my province. So that one I actually really enjoy focusing on. But it's your personal preference. If you want to be the type of person who goes for, the balls to the wall friggin' investments where you're like, oh yeah, like I get this. This one's gonna be an overnight sensation. I'm gonna be a millionaire in 2 weeks. You do you, boo. But I truthfully, for the long term, I don't think that's smart. I think it's better to pick stocks that you can see always they're growing and that they're not just constantly dipping unless there's a market crash. And bonus tip in there, do not pull out during a market crash. You're stupid if you do, okay? And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You pull out during a market crash, you are losing money rather than losing the money that you think you're losing. Because your money, if like I stayed during that market crash this year, I actually invested heavier. Like when all of the elections were going on, I invested heavier. I was putting every extra chunk of income I could in there, and now a lot of that money, like I said, my investment portfolio during that time was literally at like 2% growth. It is now at 17% growth on average. And that's incredible for a first year investment. But I didn't freak out and panic. I loaded up. Everybody says, "Oh, like I love to shop a sale." Well, y'all were returning during sales. I was buying, okay? That's what you should do. So step 4, automate. Automate everything, okay? It makes it so much easier. So every 2 weeks, like I said earlier, $70 gets put into my TFSA to get divvied up between those 12, 13, whatever it is, for $5 each. And then weekly, I just have the $5 for the weekly one coming just right out of my checkings account, so I didn't have to deal with another automated transfer. And then I have my drips, which is automatic reinvestment. It's your dividend reinvestment system. So those are always going back in until the day I decide that my dividends are worth enough for me to just start pulling out of my account and using. But automation makes it so easy. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to go, oh my God, did I get the investment in? Saves you trying to have to time the market because some stocks you're going to buy when they're low, some stocks you're going to buy when they're high. And that's all you can do, okay? Rather than sit there and watch it every freaking day because that's exhausting. Just automate it, okay? It makes it so much easier and just set it and forget it. And then step 5 is just to watch it grow, okay? You watch that money grow. Like I see mine when I go into my checkings account to watch like where my budgeting and stuff is going. But getting to see that number every time I go in, beautiful. It's beautiful. Okay? I have never had the financial freedom that I have right now. And I'm not even financially free. I'm just financially comfortable. And I love that. But I know in the next 5 years, if I continue doing what I'm doing, I'm going to be making close to $1,000 a month just in dividend income. And to me, that's financial freedom because that's $12,000 a year. I don't have to pay taxes on. And I can do whatever I want with it. And I already know what I'm going to do with it. So, but set it, forget it, learn it, enjoy it. And feel comfort knowing that you're not going to be screwed. You know? Who knows what the world is going to be like in the next 5-10 years. I mean, with all the stuff going on. It's better to keep your hands going where you can and play your cards right. Okay? So, if you are like me and you're a person who's learning all this stuff a little later in life than you should have, give a subscribe. I like to talk about this stuff and I love teaching you guys how to make your lives better too. So I'd love to have you here. And with that being said, I love y'all. I'm going to go finish my iced coffee and get ready for work. All right? You guys have a great day. Love y'all. Bye.